All right, bibliophiles, let's break it down. I am so excited to bring Brooke, aka the Brookshelf, on the podcast. We met by her commenting on one of my reels talking about how she takes her bibliophile hobby and applies it every day for her career as an advocate for mental health and also to raise awareness for chronic illness. And I was immediately captivated by not only what she does, but how she does it. And I have been withholding my questions ever so impatiently until tonight. But hey, Brooke, welcome to the show. Do you mind breaking down to the audience what you do for a living?
Sure, thank you so much for having me. I was really excited when you reached out. I can't help but make those comments sometimes, so it's one of those impulse things that it happened to work out this time. So I was really excited. Yeah, I'm Brooke, the Brooke Shelf on Instagram, but I'm a clinical psychologist by day, Instagrammer by night, I suppose. But I am licensed in the state of Virginia for psychology. I'm trained in some forensic work as well, but mostly doing telehealth for individual therapy.
Well, first off, thank you so much for what you do. I think, especially with the things that are happening lately, it's no surprise that people are reaching out more for assistance with their mental health. And thank you for helping us try and keep our sanity.
We could all use it. There's never a wrong time for therapy, in my opinion.
Amen. I kind of want to take it back to you at first and your history. Books obviously are important to you. Have you always been a reader your entire life?
No, I haven't really. My friends used to make fun of me because I was like the one that did not read in the friend group. Like, I would just refuse that. I would only do it for school if I absolutely had to because I was like a very much rule follower to get work done, but I was not reading my free time. I was anti fun reading. And I can remember a occasional series or two that like I would pick up and be hooked on, like of course like the Twilight series in middle school, things like that where you had to read them, right? It wasn't really an option at that point. But otherwise, I really didn't get into reading until probably until college, and then a little bit after college is when things really picked up and I had more free time on my hands. So I was like, you know what, we'll give it a try. All my friends are still doing it, so I might as well at that point. And really found how much I love reading and regret my younger self not enjoying it as much as I could have.
Well, now I need to know what's like the magic book that got you into this.
Well, I honestly read a lot of psychological thrillers, and that is kind of what hooked me in. Shocking, right? I know. Like, I couldn't get enough of it during the day, studying it and then doing it for work. I just need a little bit more. But I think that's really what did. I found like some twisty series. Frida McFadden's like my favorite thriller author. So I think I've read every book that she's written now at this point. I obsessed. Yeah, I love her. I love her dearly. So that is really what got me like back into like a passion of reading. Then I was really anti fantasy for a long time, which obviously I'm no longer. But I just wouldn't do it. I refused. I held strong and would not do it. Why? I don't know, but I would not give in. And my best friends finally twisted my arm far enough and they were like, just try Fourth Wing. I was like, why do I want to read about dragons? I don't understand. What is the draw here? And now I can't get enough of it. Honestly, it's a whole personality trait at this point, and it's an identity.
Well, it's funny too because I did not like think to myself, "Oh, I should read Fourth Wing." I read it because my book club picked it. And so for me, because I'm usually a thriller horror girly, the dragons are my favorite characters of that series.
Exactly.
Which I know is like a lot of people are like Zayden,
Yeah,
hell, all of them like are getting their
right.
Riddick, like they're all getting their daddy eras. But
Absolutely.
so what from that series made you realize like, oh, I like this?
One, I think it's just like the coolest escape from the actual world that we're in, right? It is just so separate. You can fully lose yourself in it. It's the best disconnect from just our day to day life. Fourth Wing really sold me on the chronic illness piece of it because of what Violet goes through. I was in the process of getting a similar diagnosis to what she has. So the representation of that, I was just blown away when I picked up the book and I could see myself in her character. It was a really strange feeling because I didn't know that going into it. I really went in very blind, besides that there were dragons in it. That was pretty much all I had. So when I read the dedication for Fourth Wing, I messaged my girls and I was like, what's going on here? Like, what? Did you guys already know this? Because, like, I hadn't talked to a lot of people about what I was going through at that point. And I was like, what's happening? Why do you guys know about this connection? And it just kind of went off from there. And the way that Rebecca Yarros uses her own experiences, her children's experiences, she has done such an amazing job with representation for, EDS and anything kind of on that hypermobility spectrum, especially, that I think really gets overlooked because it's one of those invisible illnesses that nobody really gets to see, but it really has a huge impact.
Yeah, yeah, because I was unaware until I read about Violet's journey. And so I kind of wanted to ask, there's awareness of chronic illness and promoting that, but there's also having it represented in a book. And could you kind of go into why you're so passionate about that representation?
Yeah, I mean, this was something that I wasn't really familiar with, even though my body was experiencing it. So it was kind of a weird experience to see it on paper and be like, yeah, no, that happens all the time. That's something I have every day. This isn't something that I normally see represented in a book like that. And it was kind of mind blowing to see myself reflected into a character when that's not the typical experience. And it's really not the experience in a lot of scenarios with chronic health conditions, and somebody that's younger, especially too. That I think added a whole nother layer to it, right? Violet being as young as she is, having chronic health problems, going through the experiences that she is. There's a lot of negative feedback about her character that I see regularly. That drives me a little bit crazy. So I think that's really where education becomes so important. That people just see her as being what fragile, right? That's like the word that always comes to mind with the book. But they don't really see the big picture of what she's experiencing and how much she's actually going through to come out on the other side, where it's actually not holding her back. And that's the hard thing with the invisible illnesses, that they don't see that she has a broken leg. They just see that she's wrapped up again. What's she doing now? Right? That's it. They don't really get the point. And I think that happens with just the general population a lot of times because it's not talked about enough. And we as chronic illness experiencers go through it. It's just our normal day, so we don't end up talking about it every day. We talk about it on flare-up days a lot of times because it's debilitating, right? At that point, you can't really hide it anymore. But we keep a really good mask on a lot of times, which can go for mental health or chronic illness. The mask becomes very important. It's how we mask ourselves from other people, but it's also kind of how we get through the day. Ultimately, we kind of have to almost keep ourselves disconnected from the symptoms too. Otherwise, we wouldn't really be able to get anything done.
Yeah, and so, Violet, I have my personal opinions about her, not about like her fragileness, but that is actually one piece that I did like because, especially in book one, for whatever reason, chronic illness, she's just a young woman. She's not the strongest. She's not been training for this her entire life, but as she meets her enemies or are faced with these challenges, she has that adaptability because she's living through this experience. And I think while she does have this chronic illness, it helps her form her strength of literal flexibility in these high pressure, high stake situations, which is not standard to all the other ones that you see in the college. So
Yeah.
that's actually one of my favorite things about her is the flexibility because she knows, air quote, her limitations, but she doesn't let that be limitations.
Exactly, exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. I actually got a dagger tattoo because of her character. Um, a lot of times we have to adapt to the world around us rather than the world adapting to what we can do. And I think for me, the dagger represented that because we can't always pick up a sword and swing it. We have to figure out what else we can use. We have to work around that. Doesn't mean that it has to stop us. And I think that is really what Violet signifies in all of this. At the same time, I think Xaden and her dragons all kind of represent a support system at the same time of, hey, let's find ways to support you in the way that you need to be supported in the same time of being adaptable, being flexible. They also find ways to do that for her. And that's kind of the definition of a support system, in my opinion. It's not having to do things for her, it's finding ways that she can do things with her abilities and her skills.
Yes. And so, you know, obviously, fourth wing means a lot to you. But the thing that you put in the comments is that you use books as a discussion point with your clients. I need to know so much more about that.
Yeah, yeah. I had a couple young ones that I had been seeing, and it threw me off a little bit when they started telling me they were reading, ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, and I was like, do your parents know what you're reading and what's in them? Because now I'm concerned. Generations are different than what we were reading, I suppose. It's a little scary, but is what it is. So I was very selective on what books we talked about and what parts of the book we talked about. But it's really a relatable topic because there's such an expansive selection to choose from in any population you're working with, whether age group that's experiencing different pieces that we've either read in school, we read for fun, whatever it might be. Different characters that represent something for someone, just like Violet means something to me, other people are going to pick out other characters that mean something. And I've had clients that have actually done that. One that was reading, I want to say it was the ACOTAR series. She had picked out one of the characters and was like, this is the moment that I was talking about. This is what it felt like to go through it. And she was trying to use that to explain something because we had both read the series. And it was just so cool because she couldn't find the words otherwise. She was able to use something from that to really mirror her feelings because she knew that I already had read it. And it was just really cool that she could take that information and use it for her own strength. It wasn't just for fun anymore.
Love that so much because I am an emotionally constipated person. I have like all of the words and the feelings in my head, but for some reason, getting them out for me, especially in an emotional moment, is very difficult.
Absolutely.
And so I love the fact because I felt that too, like where I've connected with a book and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like the things in my head. I wish I could say like, here are the words on paper for me.
Like,
Um, I just I think that's one of those other special things about books is like you don't feel alone. You learn different perspectives, but also it's like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the thing I couldn't convey, and here it
on
is.
paper, I can use this. This is something to show somebody what I'm experiencing. I mean,
Yes.
what a gift to have that because authors have a skill that, a lot of us don't have, and they can make something really beautiful that represents exactly what we're feeling. I would love to have that skill. I don't have that skill set to put it the way that they do. And what a great art that they have to be able to do that. And then we get to benefit from it by, that type of representation. Clients have found that many times with me. It's really cool to see that. And it's not just the mental health books like self-help books and things. It's things like ACOTAR and Fourth Wing and whatnot. It can just be the fun books too. It doesn't have to be what you expect it to be, like a self-help mental health related book.
Agreed, because I know Nesta from Akatar is a hot topic,
Yeah.
and she is very well defended by her fans. And I feel like a lot of people have said Nesta helps them process their own trauma.
Mhm.
I also feel like a lot of those people are not picking up self help books on the regular.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Totally agree.
what's your take on, Nesta helping people from their own trauma?
I mean, I think one of the beautiful parts of it is, during the Sarah J. Maas podcast with Call Her Daddy, that she really talked about, hey, this was my experience. I put it on paper. That's why I think it's so relatable too, right? It wasn't just something that she knew about depression, she knew about trauma, she kind of figured out how to make it into a character. She already lived it. She got to put that experience into a character at that point. So it's as real as it gets, right? She already had experienced that part. But I think the beautiful thing about it is that you really get to see the whole process of what it means to experience the trauma, to go through it, to have the aftermath of processing all of it, kind of being in denial about things, pushing all the help away, the retaliation of I'm not accepting the changes that are happening within me, and then what it looks like to overcome all of that, right? We kind of get to see the whole beginning to end. Whether it's, snapshotted into a couple books this way compared to, our day to day life. Sure, it looks different, of course, but you really get to see the whole time span of what that experience looks like. And I think that's what makes it pretty incredible. It's almost like a sense of hope, like, wow, she came a long way. We really get to see how far she goes. And I think that really gets overlooked from where she started.
I think too, and I don't know if you're a Swiftie, so this may not make sense, but
Yeah.
the eldest daughter, father figure,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like that is Nesta and like the explanation of, and I know in the beginning that, Feyre was the one providing for the family,
Yeah.
especially when they were living in the cottage all together and poor. But um, I had someone point out to me I'm very Nesta like,
Yeah.
and I did not realize that until they pointed it out. So I did some self reflection.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going comfortable with this. I don't know how I feel about this.
Right.
And then I was like, oh my God, I basically married a Cassian and
I love
I'm a little bossy and I'm a little mean and but I think in the beginning too, after because while I was reading the main four books like before A Court of Silver Flames, Nesta, you kind of see her as a bossy older sister. But then in hindsight, it's kind of like, well, she's trying to protect Elaine because like this engagement is like getting Elaine out of here. Like she forsakes herself and is like, I don't know how to do these things Favor does, but I do know social mobility can be achieved through marriage, and I'm out of luck, but Elaine still has luck.
Right. And she had kind of thrown up her hands with her dad too, right? She's like, if you're not going to fight for us, why am I going to do it at this point? That also you know, isn't fair to her, which I think kind of ends up being an oldest daughter, especially an oldest daughter's responsibility at that point is it just kind of is expected at that point. And she said that she's not doing it anymore, which I think is honestly an incredible boundary that she put up at that point.
Yes, agreed. And I think too, especially with how A Court of Silver Flames ended without any spoilers, it's giving her that ability to look at, like, I feel like she has the elder daughter syndrome personified now, where she's in a status where she is the protector.
Right.
Like, especially as like all of the lore and all of the books come together, it's like she has been elevated to this position of you will not mess with me or my loved ones. And let me tell you, because I have gone through the worst and I've known what that experience is firsthand. And if you think I'm going to allow you to give even a fraction of that to my family, I will make you regret every single breath you take. And so I have become more friendly with Nesta once I've done, because I did it for all the sisters, but I was like, okay, I kind of understand this more. And I
So
think
cool.
I think that's why I'm interested if Elaine's story comes out because I feel like I kind of want to joke that whoever your favorite Archeron sister is says a lot about you.
It's true. I mean, it kind of goes with the age, right, the birth order, and what that also represents in a lot of experiences that way. I think that is kind of signified just in those sisters themselves. There's a lot of, we do a lot of talking about birth order in mental health too, and what that represents, because there are some kind of generalizations that come out of that. I think it would be really cool to see Elaine's story really expand and be explored more in the hopefully in these next couple books, right?
So I've had a few people ask me if I'm the oldest daughter,
Mhm.
and I'm like, no, I'm an only child. And they usually are just like, oh, like whatever, only children. And I'm like, I don't know, is that scarier than eldest daughter? And I've seen a few videos where they don't even talk about it at all. And I was like, I feel like we're in our own little
Yeah,
subcategory. Like, it's
your own
fine,
little
you're
bubble.
independent. Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, right. We always look at like oldest, middle, youngest, and we kind of just like stay over like in this column over here. And we're like, oh yeah. that over there too. The only, what do we do with you guys? That's so true.
But I think that's why sometimes it's similar because it's like, eldest daughters have to figure everything out for their other siblings, but then like only children have to figure things out for themselves.
Right. Absolutely. They're kind of left to fend for themselves when they don't have that sibling to bounce off of at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I would say out of any of them, yeah, they would probably be the closest to the oldest.
Okay. I feel more reassured that you're like, no, the only children are bad shit insane and I'm hanging up now.
No, no, I think all of them have their own quirks, their own, pros and cons to whatever order they come out in, but yeah, there's no ideal anyway.
That's fair.
All generalizations.
That's true. But there's always a little truth in everything. That's like when people like are like astrological signs is BS, and I'm like, but sometimes they are
There's
so
something.
correct.
I totally agree.
And the
There's
Myers Briggs and all that. Like, there's a little truth in everything.
absolutely, right? When you notice things going a little haywire and you notice there's also a full moon, it's not always just a coincidence, right?
I do not believe in coincidences whatsoever. It's probably because why I'm a thriller and horror reader too.
Exactly, right? We kind of make those connections automatically at that point. I'm with you.
For people that are using fiction to kind of work through their own trauma, is that a green flag for you? Is that a red flag for you? Do you encourage it? Is it more of a do this with caution?
I really think it depends on how they're doing it. I mean, I think if you're going to be processing any kind of trauma, having a professional resource with you going through that is the most important aspect because it's not something that you should have to do alone, right? No matter if you can or can't isn't really the question, right? It's whether you need to, whether you have to be put in that position to do it alone. So taking all of that on your shoulders is enough to have experienced it and already processing it after that experience. You've already done so much at that point, right? So to have somebody else that can take some of that burden from you and go through it with you, I think if you're going to go down the rabbit hole of using literature to process some of that, talk it through, use that, process it, but then have a conversation too to support what you've learned, what those reflections looked like. We are trained to ask the questions that you maybe don't think about, the ones that just don't come to mind right away. It's not actually that we're giving you any answers in therapy, right? We're not problem solving for you, but sometimes it's just like, hey, did you think about this other perspective? That's really what we're here for. We're sometimes just a sounding board, if nothing else. It's just a space to leave some of the information too, right? I tell a lot of my patients, if we're going to have a conversation, you can leave it in the room with me, right? Even if we're on telehealth, you get to leave it here. When I leave my office, I close the door and I don't come back in here after that. Everything gets to stay in here. Whether it's my information or yours, you get to leave that and you get to walk away from it too. So going through trauma processing should never have to be dealt with alone. So if you are able to have those resources, I think that's really the most important piece is just having somebody to go through it with.
And so when you connect with your clients, do you kind of wait until they mention they like books to kind of open that? Or do you proactively ask if they like to read? How does that come into your
Yeah.
practice?
We explored a lot of different coping skills, relaxation methods, things that they normally just do like in their free time. And reading has been found to be a great stress reliever. There's been research on what it does for like just our cortisol levels in our body. So there's actual like science behind the stress reduction too. It's not just like, hey, go do this. We like reading.
I
Validated,
love
right?
I love the data because it's like sometimes I feel it's selfish because it's like all these societal expectations of like you're a
Right.
mom, you got kids to take care of, your husband, and it's like to take an hour and sit and read
Yeah. You're
feels so
absolutely doing care.
selfish.
Yeah. But you're doing care. You're taking care of you. That way you can do all those things in a better capacity, right? You're showing up as a stronger mom, stronger wife, stronger employee, whatever it is. If you want to, if that's your goal to be the best at any of those things, well, it has to start with you first. None of those things are going to happen otherwise. I think reading, journaling, relaxation, anything that you can do to take care of yourself, that has to come before anything can work.
So, reading, green flag, like validated, do it. for your mental health.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Certified by Brooke.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you can, take some of that time, even if it's just wrapping up before, you go to bed at night, take a little while just to read. Um, the less blue light exposure that we have before bed, the better we are. So if you can pick up a book instead of picking up your phone, that's an A+ right there for sleep habits. So that is something really important. If I'm a Kindle user, especially like in bed because I don't want to hold a heavy book. So if you can turn on the yellow night light, the amber lights, that also helps decrease that blue light exposure. The more screen time that we have before going to sleep, the less our body makes natural melatonin. So really important. And I try to use reading as kind of like a bridge for that for a lot of people when we're transitioning into healthier sleep habits. Hey, instead of scrolling on TikTok for, 30 minutes to an hour before bed, why not read 30 minutes before bed? Let's try to replace some of those things just with maybe a healthier habit at that point. And it tends to work. People tend to actually find some joy in that.
Yeah, I cannot tell you, like, especially being in the IT industry, I know some people like talk crap about the blue light blocking, but um, I do have a UX designer where she's like, it's a slightly more yellow tint, so it's like a problem for her work. But um, that stuff is legit. It is legitimate difference. It and once again, I'm in IT, so I'm chronically online, but I make it a point to try and stay off and read because it's just, even with the light alone, it's just so stimulating. It is so stimulating 24/7.
Yeah, and how much time we spend in our day to day on screens is an insane amount anyway, right? So if we can find something else to wind down and relax with, why not take that time and try something new?
And I think it's like everything, just a careful balance because, I love Bookstagram because I meet amazing people like you that I don't have, down the block from me. But at the same time, it's like we also have our everyday lives that we need to attend to and our like things off the phone, off the big screen, like desktop and stuff like that, where it's good to disconnect.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so important. And you're right. Right, there's so many benefits to what, social media and screen time offers us, like the amazing connections that we get to make. I mean, I wouldn't have Bookstagram otherwise if there weren't benefits like that. Um, it's the balance. There's always a limit to what we find, there's too much of a good thing. So
Yes.
it's finding what that is for you and what that actually looks like in your day to day. I've heard a lot of people using the brick uh, how to limit like time on screens lately. Um, it's like a little cube device, and you like put it in another room that like locks down things on your phone. I haven't tried that yet, but I've heard a lot of great feedback about it. So I've been doing some research into what that is.
Yeah, I remember I used to work for a fintech company when Pokemon Go came out,
Yeah.
and it had one of those like you could have the background as your camera so you could see the Pokemon, like in your office with you. But when you're working with like sensitive data on your computer screens, having cameras around is a no-go. And so I remember we were threatened, like, if you have your phone out and the camera is on, we're gonna put it in like in a box, like, and it would be like a box of shame. And like everyone would see your phone in the box of shame.
Like phone jail at that point.
Yes, yes,
So funny.
yes. But I also think it's just so countercultural because these are the same company that's like, but your work phone better be on you 24/7 and
Right.
you better
Why
pick up when
not?
we call.
Exactly. You're like, I can't win either way at that point.
God forbid a girl wants to catch a Pikachu or
Right? Can't have any fun like that. Fine.
but no,
That's so funny.
I think it is good because sometimes it's just the physical closeness of it. Like if it's close to you, yeah, I'm just gonna check this one thing and then half an hour's gone and I'm doom
Right.
scrolling and
Absolutely. And it happens to all of us. I mean, it's so natural now that we just do that. It's just second nature to pick it up and end up scrolling and you're like, wow, where did the last hour go? How did this even happen? And you lose time.
well now I have to ask, since I know you doom scroll on Bookstagram a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
How's our health doing? How are we doing as a collective unit?
You know, it's a balance. There's always pros and cons, there's always goods and bads there. Um, yeah, I mean, It's finding what works for each person, I think, is key. I mean, I know I personally find myself getting like lost in Bookstagram group chats, buddy reads, being stuck on Canva for too long because I'm a perfectionist and will just be like doing little details in there for hours. I'm like, what just happened? Where did all of my day go? And I think that likely happens to a lot of people that way. So it would not surprise me that we all kind of end up in that same bubble where we have to really make a conscious effort to be like, yeah, we need to disconnect. We need to focus on our health. I think it's just the nature of the game.
Yeah, and it's just, while I think it's great that I can connect to people that read books and see what they're doing, at the same time, it's just I see the hills people are choosing to die on, and I'm like, that's a hot take. I would not take it that passionately like you did. I love the fire, but
Yeah.
like, if this is your number one concern at the moment,
Right.
like, your life must be so good.
Right. If that's your biggest worry, wow, that's a great thing. It's so true. Yeah, it can there can be some heated spaces. Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
feisty.
Yeah. I would say mine's majority positive. I found threads to be probably the most toxic space
I
overall.
didn't even get on it. I
Yeah.
refuse.
That one is it's different than Instagram for sure. It's very different. It is very hostile over there sometimes.
For the brave, for the bold.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I go in there just for that reason, though. I mean, it's entertainment at that point too, right? I mean, you have to find the right perspective a lot of times. It's all about that flexible approach to it.
Yeah, and that's true. And I do like that though because you've got the ones that are ready to argue over any little thing, and then you've got the introverted ones where you're like, oh my gosh, she posted more than 3 sentences. What's going on?
Right.
So it's just the range and the diversity and like the content we post and what we're reading. That's why I get hooked, and I just stay on Instagram. I'm considering giving up TikTok and just keeping my YouTube and
Yeah, I don't use
Instagram.
TikTok very often. Sometimes I'll test out like reels on there first to see like how they do before I post them on Instagram, but it's kind of just my yeah, it's really my test account to see how things are.
Did you know you have to turn off the filter that makes you look prettier? It's automatically enabled. It's like a touch up. I found this out on
It
a
just does it by
previous
itself.
podcast. Yes, it's automatically enabled. You have to manually go in there and tell it, no, thank you. I would like to look a smidge more like myself. And it's very humbling.
Well, I'm sure once it's already on, right?
Right, because I started looking after someone pointed it out, and yes, the quality is a little bit different. And I was like, damn, TikTok, just like telling us we're all ugly, that life's hard enough. Like,
Wait, we really needed that too? I mean, talk about some toxic mental health experiences there, right? Just social media in general and the expectations that way. I mean, that's not going to help at all either.
right. Because I know that there are some people that just care so much about the quality of they post and making sure everything's right and all of the details and the lighting. And, you know, people are taking this seriously.
And it loses some of the fun. I definitely get in my head about like the perfectionism aspects of it, but then I'm like, "Ugh, now I'm not even having fun making this post anymore. What happened? That just defeats the purpose of even doing it. It takes away the whole reason, the whole goal of even being on these platforms at that point.
Yeah, I actually read a self help book called The Cure for Burnout. And one of the biggest points is like, you need to remind yourself this is all supposed to be fun. Even work, it's supposed to be fun. Like, you're supposed to take that little joy. And so, like, I'm trying.
I love that because what's the point otherwise, right? There's enough negativity in the world. Why not? Why add that in and take away all the fun that we already do have?
Right. And that's why I kind of have a hard time when I see people not just like you can rate a book however you would like to rate it. That's fine. But if like someone else is rating a book and they enjoyed it and you are just flat out like, no, this is trash. How could you? It's kind of, I mean, they don't say it like that, but they'll just be like, well, what about this? Like that, you agree with that? And it's like, just let people live their life, man.
It doesn't have to be that serious. And the amount of times I see, authors tagged in negative reviews and things like that. I'm like, are we not considering the impact this has on other people? Like, are we not seeing the big picture anymore? I think we just get so lost behind the screen, we forget there's real people on the other side of their screens, and it's just sad. We forget the human aspect of all of this.
Agreed. I think we completely lose the fact that there is a human being on the other side, and that either makes people very emboldened and they will say things that they would never say to your face,
Mm-hmm.
never say to your face, or they just kind of get into this like super analytical.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the one that I'm confused by. Because like if you're angry about something, like I think one of the problems that I mean, I know one of the problems I've had is like healthy release of anger. And so it's like, it's good to see like people trying, but like reining in a little bit. But it's the people
That's the
that,
place for it.
yeah, like reining in a little bit. Like you put the faucet on too much. Um, but then it's like the people that are super analytical and like, I'm like, what are you after? Like, what are you trying to accomplish here? Like, I don't even see a purpose here. The angry guy, I know what they're after, but oh my
What
God.
is their goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's there doesn't need to be a competition and everything, right? It's not a competition, not a source of power to be that analytical at that point. It just takes away from the enjoyment of it if there's that much pressure. I, you're losing all the fun. I don't see the point of doing it if you're not going to have a good time doing it.
Right, right, right. Because then what's the point? Like, we could be spending this time doing something else that makes us happy.
Right, exactly. If it's making you that unhappy and making it that much work, then I think you're missing the point.
It's always good to touch grass sometimes, guys.
Absolutely. There's actually science behind that too. Being barefoot in grass, grounding with the actual earth itself, very important.
What?
Yeah, yeah, you should spend time being barefoot in the grass, actually touching earth. Yeah, it's very good for your health. We don't do that anymore. I
I
mean,
was supposed to say, I work in IT. I'm lucky if I get like an hour outside,
right?
but also the dirt. Because, like, I don't know, in my Italian, like, like having shoes on the bed, no, because those dirty from outside. Like, imagining my bare feet on the dirt, it's just not computing.
I respect it. It is
I mean, I'm
really,
gonna try it.
it's really good. I mean, we probably haven't done those things since we were kids, right? Being barefoot, running in the grass, running, outside. How often are we actually in touch with Mother Nature that way? Being that grounded in, there's a lot of value to it. We get a lot of energy just from the earth itself.
Brooke, this is the awful point where it's like, I can't even make a post because then some twisted idiot is gonna like my feet pictures. Like, I can't even post about this and be like, I did it because Brooke said.
I love that. You have to be very selective about it that way.
Yeah, and then it's like I'll DM you and like God forbid your partner's just like, why are you looking at other
Why are
people's
you taking
feet?
feet pictures? What's happening? What are you doing on this book page of yours?
I'm connecting with the earth, Mr. Brooke or
Absolutely.
Mrs. Brooke.
I don't even question anything, honestly. He's no longer surprised by anything that I do.
That's fair.
Yeah, yeah, he never knows. He never knows what I'm gonna do or say. So I think he's just okay with anything that happens.
I think it comes with the territory of your job. Because, like, for me in IT, it's like, day to day, like, I got a rough idea. But, like, it's like
Yeah,
doctor, mental health
yeah,
professionals, like, who knows?
absolutely, absolutely. And thankfully, he's had his own wild journey in military and hospital
Mm,
security, all kinds of bizarre things. So he kind of gets, the world that is unpredictable to say the least. So I have my own unpredictable nature of my own being, and then my job on top of it. So he just goes with the flow. It's wonderful.
we love a supportive partner.
Absolutely, best book husband right there. I
Oh,
had
I
him hold one
love
of my
it.
books the other day on one of my posts, my Star Wars post, I think. Yeah, I even got him to pose with them because I had to have him hold his lightsaber for me. He's the
I
best.
love this so much. I love this so much. because like I've been experiencing a trend with these where women will say like, "Oh, I read growing up, but I took a break and then I got into it after I had my baby postpartum." And like they'll be like, my spouse helps and like make sure like I can read and it's just like, "Oh my God, that is my love language." Like when my husband is like, "You go read early, like I'll give our daughter a bath and put her," I'm just like, "That's my man right there. That is my husband."
Absolutely. Yeah, because we talk about just like basic support that like you just can't find everywhere, right? But like
Yes.
at the root of it, that is just like the definition of support. Just you go do you. I'll take care of everything else. Go have your own time.
Yes. Yes. That where it's like, you know, it, having that alone time because he is more, clingy. This is like the Cassian and the Nesta showing up, but he's very like, "What you doing? Let's do stuff together." Which at first, early on in the relationship, me wanting to have like me time was kind of like a disassociation from him and kind of like alarming.
Sure.
But it's turned into this thing where he's like, "No, this is necessary."
Talk about
Um,
respect for what you need, though. That's amazing.
right, and I think that is one of the things of making sure you have a partner, especially like in the bookstagram space of like we might cry over fictional characters. Like just know everything's okay. No one is in trouble in reality, but like fictionally we're mourning right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got him even listening to some of the audiobooks, and that man has not read a book even when he was in school, I'm pretty sure. But he listened to all the Fourth Wing series. He's listened to half of the Akatar series, I think, because I wouldn't shut up about them. And he's like, all right, I've got to figure out what's going on. And he started listening to them. I was blown away because I have never seen him pick up a book. It was it was amazing.
I have been shocked sometimes about like some because he also listens to audiobook to have him sit down. He wishes he could sit down and read a book. He'll be the first one to say, but he listens to audiobooks. Sometimes he'll say things or say like he's listening to a book. And I'm like, well, why would you be interested in whatever? And he's like, well, this is for you, like to kind of understand more about like the women's whatever. And I think too, I think he got a respect for why girls are so thirsty for. I'm going to call him Rysand. I'm not a stan of the Rysand.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if you are. I
I
just can't.
respect it.
My mouth can't.
I respect
Um,
it.
I made him read not only chapter 55 but 54 because I think both of them are important because
Absolutely, they are.
it's not just this passionate scene in a vacuum. Like there is this huge emotional
Mhm.
connection that happens that chapter before. So I feel like chapter 54 doesn't get enough respect.
I am so with you on that because it's the build up to 55, right? It's why 55 even happens, right? I'm so with you on that. Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much more behind that.
I was like, you want to know what's going? Read this, and you'll know
Right, you'll understand.
exactly.
I love that.
So he sat there and like used my Kindle app, and he just did the whole thing, and he was like, "Got it."
What a man. We love that. Talk about support. You know, they want to have interest, even if they don't actually have interest. They want to have it because we have it. That's the
Well,
best
and
thing you can ask.
not to sound like a huge feminist, but therapy taught me they're not mind readers. Men can't read my mind. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah, right? They really can't. You have to really spell it out.
But the thing is, you do, and then they do it. It's amazing.
They'll actually follow through, but you
Yeah,
have to tell them.
right. And so, like, once I got over that, like, mental hurdle of, like, oh my God, I have to ask for help, which is, like, the worst fear ever, like,
Absolutely.
being like, hey, like, I had a rough day at work. Like, do you mind if I, read early? Or, like, hey, like, I'm really craving X food. Like, I just want X. And being like, all right, I'm on it. Cause, like, I know what the goal is here.
Yeah, because they want to support, they want to help. The way that they're doing it is the best way that they know how, but it's not really what we want it to be. Yeah, you really gotta spell it out. They are not reading between the lines.
But it's worth it.
Absolutely.
It's
They
worth
want
it.
to. They want to help. They just don't really know how.
You probably secretly already have a Cassian if you're listening. You just gotta tell him what you want.
Exactly. Exactly. Let him be that Cassian.
Okay, so to kind of help us wind down, what are your go-to book recommendations? Or, for people that are like, I want to know a little bit more about Brooke, how can they get to know you through your book recommendations?
Well, besides the, Empyrean series that I've already poured my heart out over, I would say probably second to that would be the Crescent City series. That is one of my favorites. I think it is criminally underrated. I don't understand why, but I think it's amazing. Um, Bryce is such a powerhouse, ultimate queen that we just don't always see, and she will do everything on her own. She wants Hunt to be there along the way, but she doesn't actually need him to be there along the way. And I think that's what makes her so unique. She has this balance to her personality, and I won't go too far into that series, but I think that's what makes that really incredible, and it has that urban aspect to it where we get to relate to it in a really different way compared to a lot of fantasy series. So that I would say is probably my second favorite series to the Empyrean overall, and I don't know why it's not hyped up enough, and it needs to be. So I try to always bring up Crescent City as much as I can, um, while I'm always talking about Fourth Wing too.
Well, since you mentioned Crescent City, do you understand the Danica hate? That pisses me off.
I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand. I can't fathom it. I can't put those puzzle pieces together. I don't know why everybody kept assuming that Bryce and Hunt weren't, mates, and that
I
Adam was
did.
in the picture for some reason. I don't understand any of this. And a lot of people skip the whole series overall anyway. But they have a lot of opinions about it, so it's very confusing.
I've read all three books. I was a Bryson Asriel girly until that was shot down by the queen herself.
Are
I
you?
really was. I was.
I don't get it.
I. Oh god, there's so much to unpack and it's so spoilery. I'll have to DM you. But I did have an episode with Anna on Kindle where I broke it down. She was devastated. And so when the Call Her
Oh
Daddy
no.
podcast came out, I M'd her, or like I DM'd her and I was like, I sincerely apologize. I was wrong.
Oh, I've just never put that together. I never saw the perspective, but I love hearing alternative perspectives. If I can wrap my head around it, I'd love to know it. So I'm down to hear it.
I think it's because I'm not too jazzed about Elaine or Gwyn for him
That's fair.
too. I was like, I like Bryce better, so like let's make this work.
That's fair.
Oh, but okay, but the Danica hate, I it drives me nuts. And there was another friend that I had reading the series, and like she was just like, if there's anything weird going on, I'm gonna blame it on Danica. And I was like, you are so early in this series to realize how true your words are.
Like she doesn't even know yet.
I'm like, that Danica is Sarah's wild card of I want this weird ass plot thing to happen. Danica did it.
Let's put her in. Yeah. Yeah. Let's put her name somewhere in there.
But I do Danica, I mean, if we saw more, I mean, obviously Bryce is amazing and I adore her. But Danica, like, I was so attached. I was so attached.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Talk about plot twist left and right on that one, right?
yeah.
Oh.
I was like at that part and I was like, do I even keep reading? Like, I'm
Right?
kind of not sold here.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what to do anymore.
But then I met Lydia and
Yeah. Next level.
I love all of that scenario even more than Bryce and Hunt.
I support it. I really do. Bryce will always have my heart, no matter what.
She's amazing.
But I 100% support that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think
Especially book three.
underrated. Underrated completely. I don't get it. I don't know
It
why.
It really is. I feel like it's high fantasy and that's why some people have a hard time digesting. It is distinctly high fantasy. But also I feel like this is kind of like her master web. Like there is always so much going. It's very hard to keep up, especially with like the multiple POVs,
Yeah, yeah, and
but it's worth it.
travel and whatnot that happens. So I can see that. But
But I
yeah,
think it's worth it.
it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I see a lot of people with the new book announcements coming out. They're like, oh, "Do I have to go read this?" Like, no, you should be happy you get to go read Crescent City. Go enjoy yourself. Go have fun. Be happy about this adventure. Don't say that. Oh, do I have to? You get to. That's wonderful.
Also, you don't have to if you don't want like Throne of Glass. I'm not reading that whole freaking series by October. There's no way. I'm not.
That's so funny.
I know myself.
And that's you gotta respect it, right? You've gotta respect it. That is so
Yeah.
fair.
If you're listening, please do not pressure yourself to read any of these series before October.
Again, have fun, right? That's really what it boils down to. Just enjoy yourself. There's no rules.
Well, now if I see Crescent City memes, I know who to send them to because my send group is quite small.
I know. I can't find many people at all. I was even Bryce for Halloween last year.
Shut up,
I did some cosplay on my page. It's like far down, but yeah.
girl. I'm doom scrolling after this. No reading,
I
doom
adore her.
scrolling to find.
I adore her. I'm telling you. Yeah, she's special.
Yeah, I feel like she's got like she has the ability to be Nesta. She's gone through so much messed up stuff,
Hmm.
but she has such a sarcastic, dry wit. It's like the ultimate middle finger where like I could be like Nesta, but no.
But I'm not going to. Exactly. Exactly.
Bryce is a real
I
one.
love her. She's just like ultimate spicy.
Yeah. Especially like when I see those, hey, I'm starting Crescent City. Drop something in the comments I'm not going to understand until
Mhm.
after. I always drop the Mrs. Doubtfire dancing with the vacuum
That's so funny.
with
I
no
love.
context, like no words, no nothing.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny. The Wonderwick Candle Company. I don't know if you're familiar with them on Instagram or anywhere. They make all like licensed candles that smell like scents out of the books, like about characters or locations, things like that. They're incredible. I love them. I'm on one of their Facebook pages, and their challenge today for one of the giveaways was to come up with scents out of fantasy books that should not be made into candles, and mine was the vacuum canister of dust.
Oh my god. I was going to say Bryce's apartment the
Somebody
day after.
her gym bag, her like pink tennis shoes, right? Yeah, I was cracking it going through them all. It was so funny. It
Oh
was
my god.
amazing.
That's hysterical. All right. So for Crescent City listeners that are like, oh my god, I found another one, another fan, people that want to know more about like you promoting mental health and chronic illness awareness, how can people follow you?
Instagram is my primary platform. It's the easiest way to find me. Is the underscore bookshelf underscore because there's apparently quite a few of us out there that had the same creativity level on our name there. But please come find me. I have made so many incredible connections this way. A lot within the chronic illness and mental health world. I have found so much support that way. Even one of our street teams with Alexis Marigold, she came out with a dystopian book around invisible illnesses, chronic disabilities, and a lot of our street team is made up of individuals with disabilities. It's amazing. So if you ever need support, please always jump into my DMs. I love talking about it. It's one of my biggest passions to talk about mental health and invisible illness. So I would love to be a support system for somebody else out there too.
Well, also to make it easy for everyone, I will have your link in the description below. And after you followed Brooke, make sure to like, comment, subscribe because your feedback helps me shape this show, encourages me to make more. So, and also if you have any follow up questions for Brooke or myself. But I think that's it for tonight, Brooke. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation. I had so much fun.
Likewise, thanks.